What's going on, guys? JP Duel here. Hope you guys are enjoying your Monday. And for today's matchup, we have an Adventures Pranks versus a branded Despia, with me as the prankster going first. Now, with this starting hand, we are going to be activating the Faithful Adventure to search for the Enchantress and pitch the Enchantress itself. This not only serves the purpose of trying to see if your opponent has an Ash Blossom or bait out your opponent's Ash Blossom, it also helps us to get the first graveyard activation chain block going because I have not started with a Draco back in my hand. So it serves two different purposes and you guys want to use it. In this specific case, my opponent did not have Ash Blossom, which I figured out. So we just go into our combo. We don't even bother to banish the Enchantress to get another way to bait out the Ash. Over here we go into our Doodle-Doo. The opponent imperms Doodle-Doo, to which I cross out the imperm because I wanted to get the Butler combo on the field and go into Butler on my opponent's turn with the Bow Wow Bark activation, making my Prankist card immune to destruction through card effects. So that's the reason for the cross out. We go into our pranks, get a token, link off into our second Doodle-Doo, and over here with the Roxy's activation, I could have banished a monster from my hand. But keep in mind, we still have Enchantress in the graveyard. We could still banish the Enchantress. So I have a 3 in 29 chance to draw a Nemesis card. Now if you guys are running my deck list, again, I do run Nemesis cards to recycle my Meowmoo plus the Enchantress. So 3 in 29 I would draw into a Nemesis card, and if I draw into a Corridor, I could still go into the Colossus lock with the Enchantress banish, putting a monster in the banishment pile. So I had no problem with banishing the Draco back from my hand with the Roxy's activation. Towards the end, I do however banish the Enchantress to search for a right, because next turn I could activate the Faithful to search for a Griffin and get an Omni Negate on the field going as well. So I'm going to be ending my turn after activating Pranks. So at the end we activate Pranks, recycle 3 cards, and I end up drawing into a Thunder Dragon Fusion. Pretty good card for our next turn, I guess, if our opponent Call by the Graves or Bow Wow, which obviously happens. Never ever lucky. So the opponent did have a Call by the Grave in his hand. He Call by the Graves my Bow Wow Bark, which makes my Bow Wow Bark negated, so we cannot go into our Butler combo. Thankfully, we still had our Weather Washer combo on the field. Opponent starts off his turn by activating the Frightful Patchwork. This lets me know my opponent is playing Despia. Search for the chain plus the poly, normals the Aluber, search for branded in red. So this gives me the information that this guy hard drew branded fusion into his hand. By the way, such a not busted card. So yeah, anyways, going back to the gameplay, you want to save your Ash Blossom for the branded fusion. Do not Ash Blossom your opponent's Aluber, do not Ash Blossom the Allure, do not Ash Blossom the Frightful Patchwork. No. Those are all useless ashes. If they hard drew into the branded fusion, then you end up being screwed. My opponent was trying to end his turn, so obviously we use the poly, go into our Weather Washer, get our graveyard activations. I was going to chain my Weather Washer to my own graveyard activations, but the priority goes over to the opponent after you get the mandatory graveyard activations before you move on to the field effects. This guy started with a Super Poly in his hand. Super Poly means that you cannot respond to this card. So Super Poly takes away my Weather Washer and he goes into a Draco's Stapelia. So Fancies activates, we pitch our plays, get a Roxy's, Lances activates, burn for 5, put a Dropsies. This dude still had his battle phase. So I know for a fact one of my cards is going to end up getting destroyed from the field. Now if I do not draw into another named Prankist monster on my next turn, I cannot go into my combo, because I do not have my Meowmoo banished. So even if I draw into a Nemesis card, I cannot recycle my Meowmoo, which is extremely sad because Meowmoo being at 1 does sort of take away from the Prankist grind game. We still, however, had the Thunder Dragon Fusion, so we can go off into our Butler on the next turn. My opponent sets down a card which I assume to be branded in red because he did search for it specifically. We draw into a copy of Maxi, pretty useless card. So we activate the Faithful Adventure, search for a Griffin, pitch our copy of Maxi from our hand. We activate right, and then I activate my Griffin as well. I don't know why I put my token face up defense, but that's okay. I was gonna link it off for a Unicorn play anyways. So we go into our Unicorn, and I normal out my maxi because I want to go into access code at this point to pop my opponent's cards. We activate access code. This guy still had the Draco Stapelia's effect, so Draco Stapelia will negate the access code's activation, okay? Access code getting the 3k attack boost does not get negated. Only activated effects gets negated with the Draco Stapelia, so we cannot use access code's active effect to pop our opponent's cards. So that's the reason access code still stays on the field with 5.3k attack. Then we use Thunder Dragon Fusion, go off into our Butler by recycling cards from our graveyard. Go into battle phase, to which my opponent pops his Branded Red in battle phase, gets the Aluber back, and he goes off into the Masquerade Dragon. I don't know why he picked Masquerade, don't ask me that. I cannot get into the mind of my opponent to figure out what they are thinking when they're doing all these combos. So Masquerade at this point, yeah, it will be revived back on the field, so my opponent will not be taking any battle damage this turn itself. So there it is, since I have a Link Fusion, Xyz, Ritual, whatever monster on the field, it does come back, and we kill it off, essentially banishing the card. At the end of the turn, we activate Pranks, recycle 3, draw into a right, which is a pretty useless card at this point, but that's okay. Opponent's turn, he activates the Fright for Patchwork, gets the Poly plus the Chain into his hand. Now this guy, I believe, was trying to make me Ash Blossom him or something, I'm not too sure at this point. He sets down a card on the field and Super Polys me again. This is a 2-off, by the way, okay? This guy now has hard drawn 2 Super Polys, which is extremely annoying to deal with. So he Super Polys and takes away my access code by pitching a Poly from his hand to go into Starving Venom. Now this is where this guy messed up really bad. This Starving is absolutely useless on the field, because first of all, we did use Thunder Dragon Fusion our last turn. It is in the graveyard. That means if I use my first Butler Pop, Banish Meowmoo, this will search me for Corridor, I get my full combo, I kill him next turn. So he copies my Butler, that's okay with us. Then he goes into battle phase, try to kill off my Butler, so I activate Butler, banish my Meowmoo, to which he responds with his own Starving Venom. Now again, this is pretty bad play on the opponent's part, don't get me wrong, because if I pop his card, my Butler would have popped either way, and if he pops his card, my Butler gets popped either way. Doesn't matter, our Butler in the graveyard gets its activation off anyways. So our Butler gets popped, Butler pops nothing, Butler activates in the graveyard. We would have been putting back access code on the field through Butler's effect, which would have been ridiculous because I would have been able to pop any cards he puts on the field and gone into Colossus and done a lot of stuff on my next turn. That's going to be it for today's game, guys. If you guys do enjoy this kind of videos, please consider hitting the like button, subbing to my channel for more daily prank and video uploads, and if you guys are interested in a live version of all of this, I do live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/jpbduel. Link along with my schedule and a link to my Discord will be in the video description itself for you guys to check out. This is JPBduel signing out for today. I'll be seeing you all in the next video. Peace!